All right, what's up, dudes? Anyhow, all right. So I think it would be fun to do this video myself to address the questions. There were three questions. Then I appreciate it. Questions were, how did I become homeless, or why did I become homeless? Why did I stay homeless for 10 years, and how did I get out? And I really like these questions, and I'm gonna kind of take an abstract approach to answering them. I hope the fan isn't too loud. But not that I'm not going to answer them, but I have to kind of like give like I have to premise some things before I go directly into addressing these questions. What I mean by that is, so, okay, this is something to consider as far as these questions go, is think about it, think about this, consider this and keep this in mind while going over the answers to these questions. Is if my answers don't fit the narrative, then people are going to be inclined to not believe my answers to these questions. If my answers fit the narrative, then people are going to be like, yeah, right. See what I mean? And so it's kind of like any unbelievable. There are just unbelievable things. And for anybody to doubt this, all you got to do is look at the news. All this shit about Epstein, all this insane shit, like the most unbelievable shit. Like, we live in insanely interesting times. Good or bad, one thing they are is dull, right? And so what I'm saying is, dude, what I mean is, so that's what I'm trying to say is, so I've done videos on this talking about how I got homeless, how I ended up staying, and then how I got out. But see, my answers to these questions do not fit the narrative. And this has been a big part of my whole point about doing these channels, is because, dude, what you are being told is the narrative is not real, dude. Like, they are lying to everyone about the whole thing about homeless. And then it's like, if you can get to a point in considering this, that they have been lying to everyone about what homeless is, then it begs the question as to why. If homelessness is such a non-issue that nobody wants to talk about anyways, and everybody avoids talking about it, right? Then why would they so desperately try to distort the reality of what homelessness is? Why do they have to keep such an insistent control of the narrative of homelessness? If homelessness is just a big non-issue and nobody really even wants to hear or talk about it, it's like, okay, well then, if it's a non-issue, then I should be able to speak freely about it. But as soon as I start speaking freely about it, people start getting upset. And dude, let me tell you, bro, I have been doing this for fucking years, dude. Years. People, despite this whole idea that homelessness is just a non-issue, it's stupid, it's all it is a bunch of lazy, poopy people, right? If anybody even challenges that, dude, people just flip the fuck out, bro. And it's like, why is there all this insanity around this subject? Trying to find a chair. Oh, duh. I'm gonna make my way to the light over here, okay. So I just want you to keep this in mind. So if I'm going to attempt to answer these questions, which I gladly will, right? I just want the viewer to keep in mind that these three questions, if my answers don't fit the narrative of what the answer is supposed to be, people are going to be more inclined to not believe me, because people have been so conditioned by the official story of what homelessness is, why a person is homeless, why a person ends up staying in homelessness, and how they get out. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say is people can't accept anything that's outside of the narrative, the official story that they're told. And this is all fear-based. Because if I start considering that things are not what I'm being told, then it starts to threaten my stability. Because my whole, I believe things are this way. And if somebody starts challenging that belief, then I'm going to feel threatened by that, right? And so I'm telling you, my answers to these questions do not fit the mold, man. They just don't. And so what people's knee-jerk reaction is, oh, he's just lying. That's not what happened. And this is what I mean. Like, people get so fucking tripped the fuck out over stupid shit, right? And so I guess my story is unbelievable. If you believe the official story of what homelessness is, how a person becomes homeless, why they stay homeless, and how they get out. If you believe the official story, then you're going to be inclined to not believe me. You're going to be like, oh, this guy, he's just lying. He's a liar. So this is why I don't like to talk about answer these questions, because people just can't handle it. They really can't. And I'm not saying that the person that asked these questions can't handle it. I'm just saying people just can't handle it. And it's because of that reason, because my experience threatens these people's worldview, because they believe the official story on what homelessness is, how people become homeless, and why they stay homeless, and how they get out. So let me give you first the scripted answer that your general public will accept. The only answer they'll accept is the reason that this is the scripted answer that I'm supposed to say is that the reason that why I became homeless is because I was just a loser, and I was addicted to drugs, and I was just, I made a bunch of poor life decisions, and I brought all this on myself, and that's why I was homeless. Right? And the reason why I stayed homeless for 10 years is because I didn't want to change. I just wanted to keep doing drugs and la-di-da. See, this is what, and then how I got out of homelessness is because these homeless service provider organizations are so good, and they really helped me out so much, and so now I believe in Jesus and everything, and I'm a saint, and I'm pure as snow. Now I'm just one like you guys. Now I'm one of you guys. Now I'm a cult member. I'm part of your cult now. I'm just one of you guys now. I learned the error of my ways. That's the scripted answer. And if I don't give that answer, the majority of people are going to get upset and start accusing me of being a liar, and oh, he's probably this, and he's probably just doing this and saying this. And so this is what happens when I answer these questions. So question number one, why was I homeless? Why did I become homeless? There are no simple answers to these questions. So to answer this question requires me to go back into my history of my life, right? So why was I homeless, or why did I become homeless? Okay, so I was born into a poor family, farmers, like in the farm country. I was born into a farming culture. My mom and my dad lived on a farm. my grandpa was a farmer. My grandpa was in World War II. My grandpa owned a farm. He fucking farmed wheat and potatoes and shit like this. And then my dad followed in his footsteps. Now, is poor. So we were poor. We lived in this little tiny town out in the middle of nowhere. Our nearest neighbor was 3 miles away. And my neighbors were all poor like me. We played with fucking sticks. We didn't have toys and shit, you know. We played in the dirt out on the farm, and you know, by the time I was 5 years old, I was irrigating fields with my dad. I was digging irrigation and siphoning fucking irrigation into the fields with my dad. And my brother was already driving a tractor. He's my brother's like 3 years older than me, I think. So my brother was driving tractor by the time he was 7 or 8, and I was out there irrigating the fields and fucking, you know, wielding a shovel by the time I was 5 years old, you know. And people go, "Oh, he's lying, you know. I'm a liar, right? But I was born into poverty. Like, we were just poor, some poor family, right? Poor farmers. That's what we were. But I was born into poverty, and my parents were in a war before I can even remember. My mom and my dad hated each other. So that, to me, that was normal. You know, my parents divorced by the time I was 2. I don't remember the divorce. I barely remember that. I have very vague memories of the house when I was 2 years old. I have a couple vague memories of being 2 years old. But by the time I was 2 years old, my parents, who were poor, had divorced, and they hate each other, right? And so I grew up moving. By the time I was 3, I was moving, or 3 or 4. I was moving out of my dad's, moving in with my mom, and sometimes it wasn't that I was moving. It's just, I'm going to visit my mom, and because she lives, you know, 100 miles away, and then I didn't know what the fuck. It was just nomadic. From as far back as I can remember, I'm going to visit my mom. Next thing I know, I'm living with my mom. Then a year later, I'm visiting my dad, or whatever, like constantly. And then it goes from visiting to, oh no, you're staying with, and it was all just total chaos, right? So it's like, now I will say, this is not that uncommon for Gen Xers. You know, Gen Xers were born into dysfunctional families, more so than baby boomers. Baby boomers were born in stable homes. But baby boomers who were born in stable homes grew up, you know, to become baby boomers. And baby boomers had a bunch of Gen X babies. And when the Gen X babies were growing up, your typical Gen Xer grew up in a dysfunctional family where the mom and dad were fucking hated each other, and they were fighting custody battles, and you know, there was always a big struggle and drama and screaming and court, going to the court and having to talk to the judge. Well, who do I want to live with? Do I want to live with my mom or my dad? And this was like all growing up. So like on average, every year or two on average, I was moving. And so that's, you know, I didn't expect any of this. And when I was younger, I just thought this was normal. As I got older, I started to realize this isn't, because I'm making friends, and then there's some big custody battle going on, and so then I have to move, but my friends aren't moving, but I have to move to some other state, and all my friends stay there. So then I move to another state. I got to make all new friends, and then just as I'm making friends, I'm starting to make friends and establishing myself, then I'm getting uprooted and I have to move back. And so then I move back, and all those friends that I made, they've been living there, you know, they never moved. And, and so then I'm there for a year or two, no more, on average, a year or two, I'm moving. And so all my whole growing up was that. And my family was poor. Like my mom and my dad they were both poor, you know. And then there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on when I grew up. See, like millennials and Zoomers don't understand the drug war. The drug war started in the 80s. and there was this big, massive, like, basically like an MK Ultra psychological operation going on in the 80s with this whole say no to drugs shit. And Reagan, Nancy and Ronald Reagan were, and all the media was making a big deal about drugs, and, whereas now, like, weed's legal, dude. Like, everybody smokes weed. Back when I grew up, man, there was propaganda all over the place, all over TV, media, everywhere, that marijuana is the devil's drug. And, like, dude, like, the drug war was insane when I grew up, man. And and then, like, and so my parents, dude, my parents were drinking all that psychological operation bullshit about drugs and stuff. And what's funny is, baby boomers were the ones that were doing all the LSD in the 60s and going to the, you know what I mean? Going to the Grateful Dead shows in Woodstock and fucking all drugged the fuck out on LSD. And then as the baby boomers aged beyond that, then they went from being hippies to being fucking uptight, yuppified fucking Google employees and shit, drinking all this say no to drugs Kool-Aid and stuff. Meanwhile, the Gen Xers, your average Gen Xer smoked weed. Your average teenager that's a Gen Xer smoked weed, but your average teenager's parents were totally anti-drug. And so if the Gen Xer's parents found out that the Gen Xer was smoking weed, they'd flip the fuck out, dude. They would basically perceive you as demon possessed, and they would start to, oh my God, and they would, institutionalize you immediately. Oh my God, my 16-year-old son is smoking joints on the weekend, Whereas you look now, dude, fucking everybody smokes weed. It's ridiculous. So all this insanity, not that things aren't insane today, but dude, you don't understand the drug war. If you're a millennial or a Zoomer, you don't understand growing up during the drug war, and you don't have to deal with the baby boomers like Gen Xers did. Gen Xers had to deal directly with baby boomers. Millennials and Zoomers, not so much. Millennials and Zoomers, their parents are Gen X, but Gen X's parents were baby boomers. And there's a dude, I know that I have friends that are baby boomers. I'm not like prejudiced against baby boomers, but dude, baby boomers, they got the baby boomer generation seriously fucked up, bro. Like, just a bunch of fucked up motherfuckers who never wanted to admit it, And so baby boomers projected all of their shortcomings and onto Gen X. Oh, it's Gen X's fault. Gen X are the ones that are the losers. The baby boomers are the greatest, And now looking back, everybody knows that's boomer is a derogatory term. It's like baby boomer. You just ignore the baby boomer. That generation will be dead soon enough, and then we can all finally breathe a sigh of relief that we don't have to deal with all these fucking baby boomers anymore. I mean, they're just a fucking drain. They're a drain on everything. They have, the baby boomer had the most resources. They had the most access to education, the most access to housing, the most access to employment, more than any other generation in the history of the world. And baby boomers squandered all of those resources. All the forest depletion, that's all baby boomers. All the oceans being destroyed with fucking oil and pollution, that's all baby boomer. But yet the baby boomers are always the ones that are patting themselves on the back and acting like they're the great people. Like what? What did the baby boomers ever do that was so great? I don't see it. They started the drug war that is going on to this very fucking day. Thanks, baby boomer. So anyways, so this was like, so when trying to answer the question, why did I become homeless? Like, it's a complex thing. Growing up in my generation was totally insane. And when you think about it, like when baby boomers grew up, there was no homelessness. The poorest people in America owned homes when the baby boomers grew up. Okay? By the time the Gen Xers grew up, dude, like, homelessness is a thing. And then by the time Gen X was like 18, 19, 20 years old, look at how much more homelessness is. Dude, like Gen X got left behind, bro. Like millennials like to cry the blues and talk about how they gotten shortchanged and this and that. And I'm not saying that they didn't, but dude, Gen X got fucked, and nobody really ever talks about that. Gen X is just that. Gen X. That means the forgotten generation. Like, don't even pay any attention to the Gen X. That's why we're called Gen X. Just ignore all those people. Yeah, said the baby boomers, and everybody listened. Everybody agreed. Oh yeah, the baby boomers are right. Those Gen Xers, you know. And so I grew up back and forth. My Gen X parents just like totally insane, wanting to kill each other, hating each other, you know, constant custody battles. They basically just used me and my brother as cannon fodder to get at each other, you know. Like I like if they had gone before Judge Judy would have mopped the floor up with both of my parents. Judge Judy would have fucking cracked the hammer, you know, down on both my mom and my dad. She'd have been like, both of you people are fucking pathetic. You don't give a fuck about your own kids. All you do is use them as cannon fodder. Like, grow the fuck up, you know. So, and I don't hate my parents. I don't have any like real deep-seated resentment against my parents. But honestly, dude, if you really want to analyze the situation, like, so much of me being homeless is a result of circumstance, finance, and romance. In the sense of like circumstance, I was born into poverty. You know, finance. If I grew up in poverty, my parents were poor. You know, and romance. My parents fighting and hating each other all the time. That's what happens with romance. Like, you know, none of these romances ever, it's not like in the movies. Romance and love and all this shit is not what we're told it is by the media. It's a nightmare. It's nightmarish. All this shit about romance, it's all garbage. It's all lies, dude. Like, think about it. Every time you turn on the radio, what's the song about? Romance. It's brainwash. Like, all this brainwash everywhere and all this shit. And so, you know, I'm going to have to do like at least a 3-part series to answer these questions. But why did I become homeless? Why or how, however you look at it, that's how. Like, I didn't stand a chance. I was basically homeless the day I was born, dude, you know. I didn't stand a chance at all, you know. And so whatever. I mean, that's just what happens. Like, people slip through the cracks by no fault of their own. This system that we live is not a perfect one-size-fits-all system. And everybody likes to act like it is. And it's the opposite. People slip through the cracks every day. Children slip through the cracks every fucking day. And nobody knows why. Nobody gives a fuck. They disappear into the streets of fucking homelessness and abject poverty every day by the masses. You know, and nobody cares. Meanwhile, other people are becoming millionaires on YouTube. And it's like, YouTube? It's ridiculous. This system is just so fucking just disgusting, dude. Why do some people just slip through the cracks mysteriously and disappear into abject homelessness and invisible? Like, while other people end up becoming internet influencers, making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, running a fucking YouTube channel? Why and how do these things happen? Answering that question, boy oh boy. Ask 10 different people and you'll get 10 different explanations, depending on who they are. If they're an internet influencer, they're gonna give you one answer. If they come from the streets, they're gonna give you a completely different answer. And then there's the whole spectrum of everything in between. You know. So that's the best I could do as to why I became homeless. You know, like all that growing up, and then when I turned 18, my parents immediately changed the locks and locked up the house. Without even any warning. I just showed up home one day from work and the locks had been changed. My key didn't work any longer. That was it. There was no conversation. There was no nothing. It's like completely cut off at 18. All ties to mom, dad, and any and all other family just cutting the umbilical cord. It's like that movie 300. Have you seen the movie 300 at the beginning when it shows the what do they call them? But anyways, the movie 300, where they put the kid when he's like 7 or 8 years old, they just kick him out to the fucking to the wild, and then he either survives and comes back or he dies. That's basically what happened. Only I was 18 instead of like 7 or 8 or whatever. But I mean, in every other way, I was cut off, dude. Like I said, I was born into a hopeless situation, so I was cut off at birth practically. But my parents just went through the motions because they don't want to go to jail for abusing their child. So of course they're going to keep me around to keep up this facade that they're good parents. But they just kept me around because it's illegal to kick me to the streets. They couldn't legally do that. It wasn't worth the risk to them. Otherwise they would have done it. Do you understand? Like, that's how my parents, if they could have just kicked me out at 7 years old or 6 years old and just said, fuck off, get out of here, they would have. But you can't that's against the law. Like, my parents would have gone to prison if they did that. Obviously, they totally would have. You can't do that normally. You can't do that legally, right? So they were afraid to do that, and so they just kept me around until they could legally do that. And parents can't legally do that until the child turns 18. So as soon as I turned 18, like practically like the moment I turned 18, they secretly changed the locks and locked everything up without telling me. And then when I came home from work, that was it. The whole place was locked up. Basically, that was it. No explanation, no nothing. And so then I'm like, well, I can take a hint. I know what's going on, right? And so then I went and I applied at a community college and had to couch surf on my friend's couch and apply for a community college in Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon. And I was surprised they accepted me because I didn't even have a high school diploma or even an equivalent. And I got accepted at Lane Community College. So I had to sell everything I owned, which wasn't much. I had to sell it all to move to Eugene, Oregon and go to college in Eugene. And the only way I could fund college was a student loan. And mind you, I'm 18. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just doing what I'm told. When you're done with school, you go to college, you get a college degree, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid on all this. Okay, well, how do you go to college? And of course, my parents didn't do shit. They cut me off. They didn't want nothing to do with me. They didn't care that I was going to college. They were just like, get away, go away. Fuck off. That's it. Just fuck off, right? So I had to figure out how to pay for college, and the only way was a student loan, right? So I went to college. I had to jump through all the hoops to get the student loan, which the student loan, all it is, people don't realize is these student loans, it's total predatory. These government, they're government loans. They're from the federal government. They're federal government loans. The federal government preys on the youth of America. They're predatory loans by the definition. I didn't know this. I didn't know that the government preys on its own youth. Did you? You knew this it's like, I didn't know. Like, that sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, even to this day. You try to tell people that the government is a predatory in nature and preys on the youth of America. The majority of people are going to tell you you're a liar, you're a communist, you hate America, you're a libtard. They're not gonna go along. They're gonna tell you you're full of shit. That's a conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's the truth. That's all. Federal student loans for college, all they are is predatory in nature. That's exactly what they are. It's like, what? But see, I didn't know, so I got a student loan. And the student loan, not only did it pay for my tuition and my books, it also paid for a lot of my rent. And so I had to live with 4 other guys and sleep on the fucking couch, and I used part of my student loan went to pay the rent. That was the only thing that kept me housed. So I'm going to school, I'm going to college, I'm getting the student loan. The loan pays for most of my rent, okay? And then I had to get a job too, right? So I was working and going to college. But, the majority of the money I had to use the student loan to live off of. I wasn't making that much money at the job. So anyway, so what happens is, and these guys that I'm living with, they were nice enough to allow me in. If they hadn't allowed me in, I'd have been homeless. If they hadn't have said, yeah, you can come move in here, I would have ended up being homeless then. So because they agreed to let me sleep on the couch and pay a share of the rent, was the only thing that kept me from being homeless then. So I'm paying rent using the student loan and what little money I get working, and I'm going to college, right? And then I finish the semester, right? And then I'm like, well, okay, I don't know what's going on. I just assume my loan's going to keep coming in, right? I don't know. And so then there was a little bit of a break between terms, like a month-long break or something. And then it's time to register for classes again. So then after the month break, I'm registering for classes, filling up my shit. And then on the computer, it's telling me there's some kind of issue going on, and then I need to go into the office at the college to figure out this issue. There's some issue preventing me from registering. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I go to the college and I'm finding out what's going on. And they're telling me that they sent me a letter. And that they sent me a letter. And what I was supposed to do was fill it out. It was a very simple form. Nothing, it was just a simple form to continue my student loan coming in. I didn't know that I needed to do this, and I never received anything in the mail. And so I'm like telling them, I didn't get anything in the mail. But then they keep insisting, oh, well, we sent it. So then I go home and I'm talking to my roommates, and my roommates, surprisingly, they're all like responsible people. They're not bullshit. They're like computer science majors at University of Oregon. Like they're not just some fucking hippies with lice in their dreads, fucking drug addict. No, these are responsible people I live with. And so I'm like asking them, dude, like the school is telling me they sent some letter and I haven't seen anything. I've been checking the mail. Do you guys know about any letter? And all of them are like, no, and so then they're even helping me and we're looking through there. And so then I go back to the campus. I tell them, I'm like, dude, I received no letter that you're talking about. And then they keep insisting, oh no, we sent you a letter. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck? I mean, what's the resolution here? And they basically said, well, you're just going to have to, reapply for the student loan and wait until the next term. And if you qualify, then the next term you'll start receiving your loan again. And we're talking like 3.5 months. So a term is like 3.5 months. So basically what they're telling me is I'm fucking ass out. I have no way to, I just have to go without money for 3.5 months. And I'm like, dude, how the fuck am I supposed to pay my rent? Like, I have a job, but I barely get like 10, 15 hours. Like, there's no way I can't do this without help. So I'm calling my parents. Of course, my parents, they ain't even answer the phone. They don't want nothing to do with me. And see, like, a lot of people, their parents would answer and say, oh, okay, that's what's going on. All right, well, I'll send you some money and you just pay me back. Not my parents, right? Not mine, right? And so when it all hit home, where it's like, this is the situation that I'm in. I have no money for 3.5 months, and I have this job where I got and rent's due. Like I was like, I needed that money to pay the fucking rent. When I'm in this situation. So I only have 2 options. I can tell these nice people that allowed me to move in with them what's going on and ask them if they can just give me, I'll pay them back. I'll figure it out if they'll or just go be homeless. Like, those are my only two options. Either ask these people to tolerate this bullshit that I'm in, and and tolerate the fact that I'm not going to be able to pay rent. I don't know when I'm going to be able to pay rent, right? And just tell them and ask them if they'll just let me stay there, and I'll get it figured out eventually. I'm not sure exactly when. Either ask them that or just go be homeless. And by then I was fed up. I'm like, no, I'm not going to ask these nice people to fucking do this, because I know they would have said yes. They would have reluctantly, they wouldn't have liked it. But and I was too proud. I'm like, no, I'm not going to accept. These people should not have to be helping me. These people are just friendly acquaintances. They're not family. They don't owe it to me to help me through. Like, I should be paying fucking rent, and nobody's helping me. Nobody's helping. I'm completely alone. And so I have to rely on these nice people who I know they're going to say yes, but I don't know. I was like, I would rather go be fucking homeless than have to ask these nice people to help me, who, when they don't owe me any help. My parents, my own family should be the ones helping me, and they're nowhere to be found, never have been. Dude, my parents wrote me off for dead the day I was fucking born, bro. They never fucking gave a fuck about me ever, my whole life, dude. Honestly. And I don't say this out of spite or resentment. I'm just speaking matter of fact. That's just the facts of the matter. They're just shitty fucking parents. They failed as fucking parents. That's it. They should have never fucking had kids. Or if they did have kids, they should just expect that this is what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't have children that I know of, so I don't know. But this, what happened to me, happens to fucking young people all the time, bro. Young people slip through the cracks every fucking day by the who knows how many hundreds of thousands. And they're just written off for dead, and they're fucking forgotten, and they just disappear into the streets. Never to be acknowledged again. Like that Primus song, Born into American Life, dude. People think that oh, it's so great in America, and that kind of shit doesn't happen. Like, what the fuck? We are not operating on the same level of reality. There's a whole invisible fucking mass of people that this is happening to on a regular. It's just an ordinary part of everyday life that are completely ignored and forgotten and written off for dead, and nobody gives a fuck. And I just happen to fall into that fucking slip through the cracks along with all the rest of them. And those are the Ents, Fangorn, Ents, Fangorn and the Ents, and the Oathbreakers. Those are all the masses who slip through the cracks of fucking Middle Earth. And that's just the reality. It's just a matter of fact reality. They're just a bunch of forgotten people that slipped through the cracks, and nobody gave a fuck. The only use they saw for them was a scapegoat to fucking punch, a punching bag. That's all. That's all Fangorn and the Ents were. Look into the Lord of the Rings. That's the whole fucking thing. Same with the Oathbreakers. Just a bunch of punching bags. Just torture them. Lock them up in some mountain. Nobody even remembers exactly why we locked them up in the mountain. I don't know. I think that they stole some cookies or something. Something that they did. Same with the Ents. The Ents were rejected. We don't even remember why. I don't know. We were all drunk at the time, and I don't know. Who cares, right? There's just masses of people that slip through the cracks and are ignored and forgotten and fucking shat on and spit on and pissed on and then that's it. You got masses of them by the hundreds of thousands and well over 1 million in this country, and there's no explanation for it. The only explanation that's given is the official story that comes from mainstream media, which is they're all a bunch of lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant degenerates who failed to take personal responsibility for their lives through poor life decisions. And that's what I'm saying is, like, if you're buying this fucking official narrative, It's unbelievable. All these self-proclaimed truthers that claim that they're questioning everything and they're questioning the official narrative. Yeah, they're questioning the official narrative on everything except for this. When it comes to this, they fucking, I mean, it's like as natural of a reaction as blinking or breathing. They just, oh yeah, it's undeniable. Oh, they're all just a bunch of lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degeneracy. Or they don't even go there. They just ignore it. They just pretend in this fantasy land to just pretend that none of that's going on around here. Nothing to see here when it comes to homelessness. Oh no, we got some Iran stuff. Oh, Israel stuff. And then back in history, there was the Nazis and Hitler and the Jews. We got all kinds of, we got Epstein. Oh, everything else is going on. Just anything to perpetually ignore these masses of people who have slipped through the cracks in this so-called perfect society where one size fits all. And like, this is all just total fucking insanity, dude. It's all complete fucking insanity. And then you wonder why all this is happening. Oh, Epstein files. OMG, Epstein files. Oh my God, I'm so surprised. I can't believe it. Dude, Ray fucking Charles saw that shit coming. What, you think that shit ain't been going on this whole fucking time since before you were even born? They just don't care anymore. They're just pushing the tables and chairs to the side of the building and opening up the curtains so that letting it all hang out for everybody to see. The brick fucking wall at the back of the building. And then everybody's all surprised. Oh my gosh, there's a brick wall behind that curtain. Oh my gosh, I thought this was freedom. I thought we were free. There is no freedom. Oh my gosh. And it's all, oh, the sky's falling. Oh my gosh, my constitutional rights. This country isn't what it used to be. All this bullshit. It's been like this the whole fucking time. You've just been stuck in a la-la land pretending that it isn't what it is. And people far greater than you and I, and far greater than the greatest internet influencer have been saying this shit. Frank Zappa. Well, I get frustrated bringing up Frank Zappa because nobody even knows about Frank Zappa. How could people not know? Dude, Frank Zappa was talking about this shit so fucking, whatever, dude. But whatever. But anyways, that's why I became homeless. Okay? Now, I might as well go into it. Now, so why I ended up stuck in homelessness for 10 years was because of that. Imagine moving so much all throughout your youth and childhood that you never rooted anywhere. Every time you made friends, you moved. Then you have to make all new friends. Then you moved again. Then you have to make new friends again. Or then as soon as you then you move. And pretty soon it's what's the point in even making friends? Every time I can't, it's this is insane. I'm just moving all the time. It's I don't even know anybody anymore. I'm alone. All I have are my parents, and my parents are fucking insane. All they do is fucking constantly fighting custody battles, trying to kill each other, doing any and everything they can to hurt and get back at one another because of, something, somewhere, somebody did something wrong to somebody. My parents are just like that. I was what the fuck? And so, and then I turn 18 and it's cut them off, right? So now I got nobody. I don't have nobody. Who do I have? Not any family. Whatever potential friends I had, my parents took all that away. I never stayed in one place long enough to have any meaningful relationships with people. I was just stuck with my fucking crazy parents. And then they were just bouncing me back and forth with one and the other every other year. And so then it's I don't have anybody except for them, and they're fucking insane. And then when I'm 18, they're like, fuck you, get out of here. So bam, I'm totally alone. I got no parents. I got no family. I got no friends. I'm totally alone, and I'm on the street. And the whole world hates me for some unknown, I guess apparently because I'm some lazy, mentally ill, drug addicted, criminal, vagrant, degenerate. It's what? And so then, there are no homeless services. And the only way you would really know there aren't any homeless services is if you were homeless. I've walked into shelter after shelter after program after program. All it is an empty fucking vessel. You go inside, Nobody's even there. There might be one or two, and what are they doing? They're just playing video games on their computer. They don't care. You come walking in homeless, they don't even acknowledge you're alive. They're just like, what? They just keep playing video games, and they're getting paid to do it, playing video. Just like Asmongold gets paid to play video game. Yeah, you get paid to just be a fucking zombie. Yeah, so I was in and out of all these programs. They don't do shit, dude. They don't do anything. There is nothing for people in my situation. There never has been. And to this day, there isn't. And people, if what I'm saying is true, then that would be kind of scary to someone who believes that it's not what it is. So of course they're going to deny. That's not real. No way, that's not happening. There's all kinds of programs to help the homeless in America, and therefore homeless people have no excuse. Like, it's totally, everything about it is completely insane. And it's just like Morpheus said, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. If anybody really truly wanted to understand homelessness, the only way to do it is to go be homeless. Go experience it for yourself. That's the only way. That's the only way. And I was out there for 10 years. And why? Addressing the question, dude, I don't have no family anyways. No parents, no family, nothing. No friends, no family, no nothing. Just a bunch of strangers. Stranger in a strange land. Like the Iron Maiden thing, stranger in a strange land. And no matter where I went, it's just me by myself, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of strangers, and they all hate me because I'm homeless. And people try to pretend that this is not a reality in this country. Just keep on pretending and see where that gets you. I know the trajectory of a brave new world where you will own nothing and be happy. That's where pretending will get you. If everybody continues to pretend that this is not a reality in this country, I guarantee you the outcome, Ray Charles can see the trajectory of that. It ain't going to be long before you're just be living in a pod and eating bugs. And it don't matter. You could complain all about it. You could be totally right and just in your complaints and grievances. Nobody's going to care. Who's going to care? Nobody. You're fucked. And that's just the way the world works. That's the way the world works. So, I don't know. And how did I get off the street? Well, that's it. How did I get off? I'm going to tell you my theory. First of all, it was by no virtue of my own. Getting off the streets is the equivalent of winning a lottery ticket, winning $1 million lottery ticket or something. You don't get off the streets by your own virtue. Nobody does. Nobody does. 1,000% guaranteed. Unless you have somebody that you can depend on. Parents that will bail you out, shit like this. You're in a situation like I am, you don't get out. Or if you do, it's by a miracle. That's the only way, by a miracle. So it was by no virtue of mine that I got out of the streets. Just as I got forced into the streets, I got forced back into Maine. And the reason is, in my opinion, is because people fear homeless people. Because homeless people do not think the way your average person does. Your average person is watching TV all the time. Your average person is going to movie theaters all the time, watching TV all the time, watching the computer all the time. Homeless people, they're not looking at computers at all. Not when I was homeless. I was homeless from 1994 to probably like realistically it'd be like 1992 to 2002. Homeless. Okay. When I was homeless people weren't like surfing the net on their phones. Not at all. They weren't watching TVs, surfing the net, going to movie theaters. Homeless people were on the streets.
hiding from the business owners, hiding from cops, hiding from Karens. We weren't surfing the net. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Surfing the net? Like, no way. Back when I was homeless from 92 to 2002, homeless people aren't surfing the internet. Think about it. Just think about it for 3 fucking seconds. They weren't surfing the internet. They weren't watching TV. They weren't watching movies. They were getting harassed by everybody, by business owners and cops and Karens and everyone else, and hiding from law enforcement, and hiding from Karens, and hiding from security guards, and hiding from business owners, and hiding. That's what you do when you're homeless. You hide. Because you're public enemy number one. Everybody hates you. Everybody wants you fucking dead, dude. No shit. I'm not kidding you, dude. This is just the reality. No, we're not in the bushes surfing our Obama phones. Not when I was from 92 to 2002. I never had an Obama fucking phone surfing the net. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't even think they had phones in 2000. Even up in 2001 and 2002, it wasn't common to have a smartphone where you're on the internet. No, you had a flip phone with talk and text. Duh. So no, when I was homeless, all us homeless people were not surfing the net. We're not watching TV. We're not watching movies, going to the theater. No. But everyone else at home surfing the net on their big fucking clunky shit computers, watching their big TVs, going to the movies, media, just constantly getting mind fucked by media. While all of us out in the streets, we weren't getting none of that. We weren't exposed to any. We weren't getting the MK Ultra fucking mind blast, mind rape, while all you people were. So we don't think like you. Don't you understand? Don't you understand how different it would be? Those are two separate realities. You got a bunch of people fucking surfing the internet at their home computer and watching TV and going to movies. And then you've got another group of people that are homeless. They're not doing any of that. They're just surviving one day to next on the streets, hiding from everyone because it's illegal to be homeless. This is an unbelievable story. It does not fit the official story that you're told. And all you people, all you people from 1992 to 2002 who were on your computers, on the internet, surfing the internet and watching your TV programs, Seinfeld and The Simpsons, and watching all your brain rot TV programs and all your brain rot computer surfing and all your brain rot fucking movie theater fucking garbage. While you're all doing that, I mean, think of the difference. Imagine like someone who isn't doing any of that. Like, it's two completely separate realities. And so for 10 years, I'm not doing any internet shit. I'm not watching any TV. I'm not doing any media at all. And during that 10 years, all you people that weren't experiencing what I was experiencing, you're all getting bombarded with all this media for 10 years. Okay? Then, and see, this is why I'm saying my theory is they started to realize that all these homeless people are not getting brainwashed. And that was what the whole point is all that media is all brainwashed. And so now you got all these people who, as a result of not being brainwashed, are still able to think freely. And so then they realize we can't have that. We need to force these people back into the mainstream with everyone else because they're not being brainwashed. They're living out on the streets and shit. They're not getting brainwashed with all this media. So we got to force all of them and force them to assimilate back into this fucking idiocy and this psychosis that they originally had forced us out of, and to try to catch up on all the brainwashing. Like, oh shit, there's all this bunch of people that aren't brainwashed. Oh fuck. And so it was like, oh fuck, we got to start brainwashing all these people. All these homeless people, they've not been getting brainwashed, right? So they fucked up. They had fucked up. So all you other people, you're all getting brainwashed. Meanwhile, all the homeless people, we're not getting brainwashed. And so for 10 years, I wasn't I wasn't doing any of your internet, computer, television program. I don't even know what the fuck was going on the TV from 1992 to 2002. I don't even know what movies were playing during that time, what TV programs were going on, what internet shit was going on from 92 to 2002. Completely just, I disappeared off of the face of the earth for 10 years. While everyone else was doing computer shit, TV shit, and all this media shit. Brainwashed. And so then when they forced me back into society, I'm like looking around and everybody's on their cell phones doing this, and there's this whole weird internet culture that I have no idea what the fuck any of this is. I don't even know what the fuck the internet is, dude. Like I've been living in a fucking cave. I fell off the edge of the earth and was just for 10 years. And then I get pulled back in and everybody's doing this internet thing. I don't even know what the fuck what is the internet? I don't even know. I don't know what the fuck is going on. What's going on with all these people? Right? So I didn't even know. You know? I don't know what the fuck. What's the point even of the internet, computers? Why? What is it? And then everybody's, oh, it's real important. And then I look, and all anybody's doing with the internet is Facebooking, MySpace, Facebook, just playing fucking games. Just playing. Facebook is like a video game. It's the same thing. You play with Facebook, play a video game, same shit. And that's all but then everybody was acting like, oh no, the internet's real important. All the responsible people do the internet. And it's like, okay, well, what is it? What do you do? Oh, I'm on Facebook. This is Facebook. It's like, what? Facebook, man. You don't know what Facebook is, bro? And I'm like, no, dude, Facebook, that looks gay. What is it? Are you gay? And then they're like, oh, you don't even know what Facebook is. No, I think you're gay is what it is. That looks gay. Like I have always rejected this shit, dude. And if I participated in it, it's to mock it. Like when I started the Angry Hobo channel, it was just to mock the internet. It's like, this is so gay, dude. Like, and so that was my channel started. It was like, yeah, okay, let me do a channel here, you guys. Let's do a channel called the Angry Hobo, and I'll just talk about homeless stuff. While all you guys talk about all this mainstream faggot bullshit, I'll just talk about everything that isn't that. Because this is gay. Like, don't see? Like, the internet's dumb, dude. It's stupid. It's all people are, oh, it's so important. Oh, I'm doing important stuff on my computer. Bullshit. You aren't doing anything. Workers of iniquity. That's all it is oh, look at me. I work really hard. Think about what it used to mean to work hard. If you were to think about what it looked like to work hard back in the 80s or whatever, and you get a mental picture of hard work, okay? Now compare that to what's hard work today. And you compare these two pictures. Well, like in the 80s, hard work, you see a motherfucker, digging irrigation in a field, working in a mine, doing labor. Now, what's hard work? Sitting at a computer. I'm doing hard work. I'm working hard. Like, it's just so gay. Which I'm so glad that I'm doing slave labor now, because as hard as slave labor is, I mean, dude, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here like this for years and tell everybody how hard worker I've worked so hard. Like, dude, I mean, so I'm like, dude, you don't even know how much work it is to survive on the streets from one day to the next. And so I'm out there for 10 years. Then I get forced back into this mainstream society. And all these people are talking and acting like they work hard. It's like, I work so hard. You want to know what hard work is? Go be homeless. You think that it's not work to survive from one day to the next being homeless? Ask AI. Ask artificial intelligence. Does it require hard labor work to survive being homeless on the streets from one day to the next? Does it require physical labor? Ask AI. Dude, I already know what AI is going to tell you. Yeah, it requires like strenuous physical like all day, every day, just to survive. You don't get paid to do that work. That's just to keep yourself from dying. But then you go out and then imagine experiencing this and then getting forced into this society where everybody talks and acts like sitting at a computer is hard work. I work real hard. Listen, I just heard Asmongold today talking about how he works so hard. What does he do? Sits at a fucking computer and just bullshits into a can. Dude, and makes hundreds of millions of dollars doing this, and he's telling you that he works hard. Dude, if you believe that, I got a bridge for sale. I have several for sale. And I'll give you a really good deal if you believe this bullshit. Fucking, these motherfuckers, they never experienced hard work a day in their fucking life. 1000% guaranteed. Walk a mile in my shoes. Dude, like that old saying. Asmongold wouldn't last a day in my world. Me, on the other hand, I could last several lifetimes in Asmongold's world. And Asmongold is saying that he works hard. I'm telling you, he wouldn't last a day in my world. I could last lifetimes in his. Making millions of dollars just sitting around, fucking off, playing games with the computer, which is all he does. That's all he does. Just like I said, Facebook is the equivalent of a video game. All these are. This is why I reject the whole idea of getting money for doing videos. Why? I do it for fun. Like, why would anybody have this retarded, infantile expectation that they should be getting paid to create art? You do art for the love of the art, not to get paid for it. If you get paid, cool. If not, if you're a real artist, who fucking cares? You're doing it for the love of the art, so you don't care if you get paid or not. Getting paid is just icing on the cake. But as an artist, a true artist understands that your art is not defined by how much money you get in exchange for your art, because art can transcend the concept of money itself. Like, there is art that is so good that it's so far ahead of its time, people won't even understand the value of that art until for decades later. Like H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft lived in poverty all of his life. H.P. Lovecraft wrote books for the love of the art of writing. He was never regarded as a renowned author. His books didn't even hit the map until after he fucking died. H.P. Lovecraft wrote for the love of the art, not to make money. A true artist understands this. And then it wasn't until after H.P. Lovecraft died that his art became world renowned. Now he's like the most famous sci-fi horror writer of all fucking time. Nobody can hold a candle to H.P. Lovecraft. That could end up being my channel. Like 10, 20 years after I'm dead, people will look at my channel and be like, dude, this guy was the god of the fucking internet. Like, Asmongold pales in comparison to this guy. It's possible. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen or that I intend that, but no, it's totally possible. Or like Baffled by Bullshit. Like 50 years from now, people could regard Baffled by Bullshit's channel as the best channel that ever on the internet. And like compared to like someone like Asmongold, Asmongold's just a joke compared to Baffled by Bullshit. Dude, like artists transcend fucking space and time. Like they can do shit that's so far ahead of its time that nobody will even understand its value until 50, 100 years later. You know? And then someone like Asmongold would be a fucking joke compared to some obscure channel that nobody ever even heard of until long after he was dead. Anyways, I'm all over the map, but that's how I stayed homeless. It's because there ain't nothing, dude. There is nothing. There's no hope for all these people that are slipping through the cracks. You are being lied to. Everything about homelessness is a lie. They're telling you that there's all this hope for these homeless people, but these homeless people bring their hopelessness upon themselves, and that's why. And a lot of they're so full of shit, dude. They're just, and that's why I'm so kind of like urgent about doing videos. Is that, dude? The secrets are going to come out eventually. Why would they, dude? They put more effort into lying about homelessness than practically anything else. They put more effort into keeping everybody blinded from the truth about homeless than they do anything else. And in my opinion, it goes back to that quote from that guy. I don't know who it was. Somebody like big, like Woodrow Wilson or something, back in the 1920s or some shit, said that if people knew the truth about the economy, the United States of American economy, there would be a civil war overnight. By tomorrow morning, there'd be a civil war. If people knew the truth about the U.S. economy, that's why they insistently, like, relentlessly push this lie about homelessness all the time, in every aspect, always. It's so constant. Is because if people knew the truth about it all, there would be a civil war by tomorrow morning. And I know that sounds hard to believe. I don't care. You can think I'm crazy or not. That's what it is. And I think like 100 years from now, this truth could possibly be exposed, and people will look at things way different. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's kind of a rough explanation addressing those questions, but I kind of answered them in my own unique way to kind of get across information that I think is valuable. And like I said, at the beginning of the video, I said, if I honestly answered those questions, people wouldn't believe it, because it doesn't fit the official story on homeless people. It doesn't fit the official story. Like what I'm saying is totally it's like the opposite of what the official story that you're being told homelessness is, and why people are homeless, why people stay homeless, and how people get out of homelessness. Is, like I said, it's like getting out of homelessness is literally like winning the longest odds lottery. I'm not kidding you, dude. I'm sorry. I know it would be if that were the truth, it would be a very difficult pill to swallow. One reason is because then who would society have to scapegoat? There would no longer be a scapegoat. Like, they'd have to find somebody else to scapegoat, because the homeless aren't that they just don't have any reason to scapegoat the homeless. And everybody's always looking for a scapegoat, right? The Jews, you name it. Go down the list of all the scapegoats people are pushing for: the homeless, the Jews, the Iranians, the terrorists, the communists, the libtards, the Trump-tards. That'll do it for this episode of another Angry Hobo channel with Heroes, the Angry Hobo. Remember, stay tuned, stay informed, stay salty, and monetize.